As a man on a mission, I am constantly on the move. My work takes me to different places from all walks of life. In the process of time, I have met many successful people with different backgrounds and with different drives. One thing has been common among them all. Like me, they don't compromise on quality. Which is why each day as I leave home to face the world, I drive straight to the one place I know I can refuel for the day because I am assured of quality fuel at an affordable price.
No more! Over the mountain, big salute. Mujang, triple S.
Na triple S no yɛ dɛn.
Make them tell you. Factor social distance health.
Here at Santor, quality is affordable.
At Santor Energy, quality is affordable. Clean fuel, friendly service.
Crude oil prices fell worldwide to unprecedented lows in 2020 due to rapid decline in demand. This plummeting demand was in the wake of the response to COVID-19, which has shattered large parts of economies. Naturally, this affected refined fuel prices. Ghana has not been left out. Now, there's a quick recovery. Is this recovery sustainable? Why are prices constantly increasing at the pump? How have businesses survived this harsh period? COVID-19 is still ravaging with dire consequences. What are the impacts on our petroleum downstream? Welcome to Energy Quest. Now, let's delve deeper into the matter. First, we visit COPEC, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Then, we visit an indigenous oil marketing company, Star Oil. Okay, Duncan, COPEC, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. What do you actually represent?
So this is a civil society advocacy platform that seeks to get nothing but equity for the Ghanaian petroleum user.
Okay.
We are a conglomerate made up of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. We have the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union represented here. Association Ghana Industries AGI here. You have a lot of bodies and organizations. You have the commercial concerned drivers, committed drivers, all the other driver unions.
Okay.
They equally defer to us. You have the chamber bulk oil distribution companies also duly represented here. A good number of oil marketing companies also do get a seat. And it's one thing to say that the current chairman of the OMCs, the oil marketing companies, happen to be a founding, seat at COPEC already. And so this is a body that largely seeks the interests of Ghanaian petroleum consumers.
Okay, so how's your day like? What do you typically do?
So over here, we do policy analysis, we do advocacy, we do education. We also offer training sometimes to media persons.
Okay.
We have a team of very experienced people, a consultant from Oman who comes in. Our technical director happens to be a long-serving civil servant from Ghana Standards Authority.
Okay.
And so things happening around here, we also base it on the standards to decide whether indeed what complaints we receive from the public and what we also find from the market are things that we can actually go into. We've had series of fights. And so most times you find that other institutions are not comfortable with us, but we don't sit to make them comfortable. We sit to ensure that
things are done right.
What they have to do, they really are up to it, and that they are not inconveniencing the trotro driver and the ordinary Ghanaian.
So I like the fact that your organization encompasses both sides. It has everybody in. But as we know, COVID is the center of everything now. How has it impacted consumers who are priority to you?
Well, So you remember at the outset of COVID, somewhere March 2020, we're all not certain. In fact,
Of course.
at the peak of lockdowns and all, people cannot move. But petroleum stations or outlets were said to be essential service providers, so they continue to work.
Yeah.
We had to get out there to ensure that they are at least also protected. And so you have issues of PPEs coming up from COVID. We know that was a huge cost to the industry. But
Okay.
for us, it needed to be done to protect us. Now you get to a stage where prices started dropping globally
Yeah.
due to the fact that demand wasn't there
Completely
anymore.
off.
A lot of economies had locked down, and so there was excess supply. These price reductions globally reflected on Ghanaian
down.
pumps also. And so if you recall, between March and November 2020, we saw a cumulative decline of almost 23% on pump pricing. And these were quite interesting. Although other people felt that fuel prices should have declined further,
Yeah.
what they failed to recognize was that in the computation of the fuel price, and it is not just the ex-refinery price that plays a role. You also have the taxes in there.
Yeah.
You have the city's influence also playing
The
a major
Forex
role.
issue.
Exactly. And so if one of the three major components decline, that would only be a component of pricing. But eventually, Ghanaians saw some reduction in pump prices, and that for us was good.
Yeah.
As it is now, because of COVID vaccines, demand is beginning to surge
Again.
and global prices are going up. And so over the past couple of weeks, from the start of the year to now, we've seen about 5 different
Exactly.
increases.
Yeah.
And
crude prices are going up.
they are going up.
And
Finished
going up
products
very quick.
are also going up. And then you have the usual complaints coming in. We were around 5.45 before COVID outset. We declined to almost 3.85.
Exactly.
And then now we've gone back to about 5.2. There's already that tension and pressure.
To
But
increase prices.
it is to be expected. Ghanaians generally do not have that luxury of extra incomes to afford more. So anytime there are increases, we also bear the pressure.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can understand what the industry goes through and why it needs to increase. But other times, it's a bit difficult to defend them. And so you find us on them. These effects clearly are things that Ghanaians can quantify. We know that people have lost their businesses. I mean,
Lost their jobs.
lost their jobs. At the peak of COVID, when there were no movements, if you were a trotro driver, like our major constituents, they had a lot of issues. But now it looks like things are beginning to pick up a bit. But overall, COVID has had a phenomenal impact on everybody.
Yeah, very much. But are you doing any sensitization to make them understand what is going on?
So that forms part of our public education advocacy work. The complaint has largely been that now when there are increases or reductions, they are not pre-informed. So we take it upon ourselves to go out there 2, 3, 4 days, even before these increases are reflected.
Actually applied.
We would consult the various players from the BDCs to the oil marketing companies. You get a true position of how pricing is likely to be. So
going to
when
look
you
like.
say out there that there could be increases of 1 to 2, 3%, some way, somehow, it rings with people. And
Yeah.
when finally these increases come,
It's not a blow.
it doesn't sound like a big blow because people would have had time to prepare for it.
Okay.
These are the basic things we do on a day-to-day basis.
So, as the prices dropped, it really, really went low, unprecedented levels. The transport fares were not altered to those levels, so they enjoy the windfall. That I mean the commercial drivers. Okay, so there should be some education for them now, so they understand that even though prices have gone up, it's not to the extent that it was before. So they are not in a bad place. Is there any education like that you are giving to commercial drivers?
I can say we engage them on a daily basis. In fact, for most of the time before even transport fare increases come, this is where they come and We look at numbers, we advise, we encourage them sometimes to hold till dialogue is completed. And so we engage them.
Okay.
I can assure that this is not done, seasonal, on regular basis.
Constantly.
You find their leadership. They will call you when prices go up and tell you it hasn't gone to the 10% reach for which they need to increase fares. And sometimes we are frank enough with them to say, look, you enjoyed some windfall, so this one we can't support you to go and ask for adjustment.
I
So
like that.
if you realize that the request for transport fare increases is not so loud right now, although a section of the driving community is asking for fares to be increased, it's not a very wide thing. It's simply because we are still engaging them.
Okay.
And our agenda is to ensure that there's equity for all. We want equity for them, but we do not also want them to overcharge the ordinary man on the street.
But some are doing on their own now.
Some do. When the Transport Coordinating Council agreed somewhere in June, July, that there should be a reduction to the tune of 15%, quite a good number of them refused. And they said they won't reduce it. So this is the time when those leaders, when they call, I quickly refer them to the very bit we had earlier, when we were insisting that you should go down, so that later when you need to go up, we could all speak in one voice. But a lot of them refused. And now that prices are going up, it looks as though the kind of windfalls that they enjoyed, they may not enjoy it anymore, and they want to go up further. That we do not agree. But I can assure that our education bit is that we continuously engage them, we continuously encourage them to hold on. When the time is right that Ghanaians would have to pay more, I'm sure we'd all agree. But for now, we do not think that the transport operators should go up, although they form a major constituency as far as the chamber is concerned.
So with COVID-19 still here, what has been the impact and what should consumers expect?
You see, the times we are in is quite unpredictable.
That's true.
Although there's some certainty as to where fuel prices are heading to. Over the past 1-2 months, you've seen crude prices go up by as much as almost 26%. You've seen, finished products also go up. As we speak, economies are still picking up. The aviation industry is rebounding. Airports are now connecting. People are moving across.
Yes, slowly though.
And so once demand begins to pick up, as we are saying, there's only one eventual outcome. Prices would head south. Ghana, unfortunately, as a price taker, we cannot distance from whatever happens on the international market. So as prices go up on the international market, it is likely to reflect at the Ghanaian pumps. And this is where we say to our drivers, prices are still going up. There may come a time that you genuinely would need to go up on your transport fares. We haven't hit that point yet. We can all hold on. If it gets so bad to a point where the cost of your operations is inhibited or hindered in a way, I'm sure the average Ghanaian, as understanding as they've been over the years, would appreciate the need to go up. But as it stands, consumers across the country are not exactly comfortable, because the only news they hear from us week after week is, a forecast that is going to go up, and then they go and it's going up. Generally, we are not out of the woods yet as far as COVID is concerned.
Immediately the product was actually introduced to me, I wanted to get on it, and that was the Gold Check account, guys. This has actually changed my business. So on the First National Bank app, you have the business toolkits that gives you all the information that you need to run your business, and whatever enquiries you have, they're always ready to answer. And that makes life very easy for me. And you have the in contacts that helps you access every transaction that takes place or happens. Now, point of sales terminal, I market wherever I go, and so I love to have that so I can take payment, especially with those who tell me I do not have cash. A bank that understands that you can start life all over again or start a business from scratch. Very keen on running it and making sure that you grow to the core. It's one you should look out for. My name is Jifa Bekwe, the CEO of Jifa Gray Creations. I recommend that you sign up to the Gold Check account from First National Bank for a great banking experience.
So Philip, Star Oil is an indigenous company.
Correct.
And you're 23 years already.
Yes, in October I'll be 23 years.
Okay, how's the journey been?
It's been a remarkable journey, I would say, until 1998. The downstream sector, the OMC sector, was heavily dominated by foreign OMCs, the likes of Mobil, Elf, Total, Shell.
Okay.
And then there was a segment that was supported by your typical Gao filling station.
Yeah.
And these multinationals were not interested in
Those stations.
those locations. Those locations were not prime enough for them to sort of move in there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw an opportunity to move in there. Your typical Gao station at the time was very simple. You saw the bottle and then the cuff thing was there. So we went there, tried to bring all of them under the same umbrella. I think this started with Star Oil and Allied.
Mm-hmm.
So we quickly grew very big over time. Within 2 or 3 years, we had over 300 locations.
Oh,
and
wow.
We were now number 4, the fourth largest OMC in the country.
After the multinationals.
After the multinationals, Grell and the multinationals. So by 2014, Star Oil had 5% of the market share and number 4 in the industry. But with the phenomenal growth came a lot of challenges.
Of course,
how to control these independent retailers all across the country, how to enforce consistency, quality of service across the board. We decided, and looking at throughput per station, we decided to embark on a journey to trim our outlets to very profitable locations.
Okay.
And that is sound business practice.
Mm-hmm.
As we speak now, we are doing roughly, on average, about 10 million liters a month.
Wow.
At about 100 locations. We used to do 16 million a month at over 300 locations. So if you work out the maths,
this is more efficient,
yes,
right?
Throughput per location is better. Profitability per location is better than before. But yes, actual quantities have dropped, but we are more profitable and it's much better.
Operational expense.
Exactly. And it allows us the ability to now look at the next phase of this business, which is to rebrand properly, which a lot of feedback I get is that our stations need to sort of come to the level of...
Yeah, but I've already seen some...
Yes, we have already started
stations.
taking steps on that. And I am sure in the next 3-4 years, you would see a much better outlook. And it will be a testament to what Ghanaian business can do.
So you put all these Gao stations together and elevated them to the regular service station standards.
Yes.
That's really, really good.
Yes.
But with all that, how are you managing now that COVID is here?
Yeah, so I think COVID, like all other businesses, has, like all other commercial activities that we are engaged in, has affected us. And there is no doubt about it. In the height of the lockdown, we lost about 40% of our volumes.
Oh.
Between March and June, volumes were really low. Obviously, fuel is driven by commercial activity. The moment everything stops, nobody buys fuel.
Yeah.
So with time, it's sort of eased down, and gradually we've sort of gone back to our average volumes.
Okay.
But like I said, we've already been embarking on a transformation exercise in Star Oil. So by the time COVID hit, all our systems were already online.
In place, yeah.
We had all our stations remotely connected and data was shared online, everything. We had actually anticipated, or we didn't, we were looking at a situation where we could start working 2 days from home and 3 days from the office before COVID came around.
COVID.
So it was actually a good coincidence. And the impact has been similar to every other business. We lost volumes, we lost profitability to some extent. We, obviously for banks that finance us, we've had to have conversations around possibility of easing principal and interest repayments. But generally, we are back to normal at this point. At the stations, we've had to incur a bit of costs because we have to provide all this PPEs for staff on the ground. But staff at the head office level were quickly asked to work from home. So we have this huge head office building that has almost become redundant now. We are looking at how to offload it to those who really need to be working from proper offices. I come to work only once a week, and I work remotely 4 days a week. So we were prepared for COVID, I would say, from a technology side. We weren't really prepared from, obviously, the point of losing the revenue side.
And all that.
Exactly. But I think gradually we are getting used to the situation, and we are able now to weather the storm. But if there's another lockdown, we'll be back to 40% drop in our volumes.
But with the revenue down, did you have to let staff go? Or how
so what happened? Yes, we did. We had a number of retired staff who were still working with us. So the first thing to do was to look at how we can nicely ask them to go home and take their retirement, and they understood because obviously the times were difficult, and they were
it's safer for them.
It's safer for them too. So we did, and then we had to reduce salaries and other emoluments by almost 40%. We are back again to pre-COVID levels almost, but still much lower than where we used to be in terms of salaries and emoluments. The outlook is still not too clear because we still have this COVID coming back. So we still need to wait a bit to see where we would be before we bring staff emoluments back to where they could comfortably be. But yes, we had to cut salaries. We had to let some staff go home. Those who were due for retirement, we would ordinarily not have let them go at the time, but they had to.
You just had to.
Exactly.
Okay, you mentioned earlier that you had to invest in PPEs.
Yes.
So tell me about the safety protocols you've put in place.
So, as a business, we have various components of our activities. So if you take our transport unit, we have about 34 trucks. And before COVID, we used to have a lot of the drivers and mates mostly congregating together at the yard before they go to the depots to go and load. But the first thing you do is to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. So drivers are called as and when they are needed to go and load. And so you don't have people coming together en masse. And then at the filling station level, your usual Veronica buckets, pump attendants have to be in their masks, provide hand wash basins, soaps and things like that for the washrooms. Yes, it was difficult initially, and we had to learn over time and to try and enforce that across and to train our staff. In terms of the depots offices we tend to have a bit of overcrowding, so we had to find a way to get them to work on shift basis. So sometimes what we do is that instead of pushing all our volumes to certain days of the week, we decided to spread them out nicely so that you don't have a lot of people congregating at the depots at a go.
Okay, so typically I know the OMCs pay 21 days to GRA on your taxes. So with revenue down and then your cycle, as in your volume down and all that, how are you managing that? How did you manage that throughout the year?
It was really difficult industry-wide. We quickly realized that it was going to become a big problem. So fortunately, the industry took it up. The Association of Oil Marketing Companies, together with some key members of the association, took it up with GRA. And we're grateful for GRA having agreed to reschedule the payment dates between March and December 2020. Instead of the 21 days, they gave us 45 days to make the payment. That allowed some level of flexibility. Of course, after December, they expected us to be back to where we used to be. So we are all back now to the usual 21 days cycle.
What of the price hikes and all that? Because price has been unpredictable. It's been yeah.
So this is an industry where when prices are going up, it's good news and bad news at the same time. When prices are coming down, it's bad news because you always have to have stocks at your station. And when prices are coming down, what it means is that you are going to have to sacrifice some of your profits. Yes, the value of your stocks go down. It's a loss to you. But when prices are going up, it's good news because you get more value from your stocks. But it comes with some level of financing costs because you need to buy and stock up your stations ahead of time. And you may not need those stocks on a normal day. And investing in the stocks means that you need some more financing to do that. So yes, you need to manage it carefully to make sure that you don't lose out on the gains that come with price hikes. But at the same time, to make sure that it doesn't lead to liquidity problems with your suppliers. Yeah.
This is what we do on Energy Quest. We demystify the energy sector. Till we meet again. Ciao.
Did you miss an episode of Energy Quest? Watch all episodes on YouTube at Energy Quest TV or Kente TV. Also catch up on the Daily Graphic YouTube page and website. Energy Quest, looking into the future.